Hey baby, even though you break my heart,
It's a musical thing called,
and I always will. Sorry is all that you can say. Years gone by and still
again.
words don't come easily. Like sorry.
And you can say, baby,
It's all that you can say.
right. How do it?
Years gone by and still the words don't come easily. Like forgive me. And you can say, baby, and baby, can I
Hold you tonight.
And maybe if I told you the right words, ooh, at the right time, you be mine.
Hey, welcome to episode after missing 1 week. 122 of the Corey Shepherd podcast. My apologies. I'm tired in real life and all you. I started to look at what's the end date, like what's the last episode for this year. I'm tired and real. I started to realize that when I have classes going on, right? Maybe I talk so much on a weekend that I can't talk about nothing no more when Tuesday comes.
Like I love you,
But I love you.
but you can say, baby,
Baby.
my baby, can I hold you tonight? And maybe if I told you the right words, ooh, at the right time,
You be mine. I could get back to the local thing. That was just my little apology for not coming out last week, right? I only know where to expect this podcast every Tuesday, despite popular belief. Talking about the current affairs. You can find it on YouTube and anywhere listen to podcasts or in your audio books. So I'm a little sorry to start off the episode, but as you know, I will get back local very, very fast. You know what I mean? I hope all is staying dry. I hope all is staying off the roads. If you're in flood-prone areas, a man say move your structure.
Yeah, well, this is the water.
Also agua.
Get ready to go.
There we go.
It's all about flooding the street.
Yes.
Keep it flooded.
When you see me bang down, blowing all over the town. We join up like a wassail. Full pressure when we start to whine. Give it up. So when you feel like chipping,
Get in the line.
then you turn off the engine and keep it wine. Start to move it
So like water.
cause this is a creeper.
Hold on your daughter.
When you see me bang come down, blowing all over the town. We join up like a wassail. Full pressure when we start to whine. I know we going now.
Drill, drop.
I said
Dip in the water. Rainy times in Trinidad and Tobago. I don't know why this is happening. I don't remember a time in history. You don't remind me, because I don't ever remember. Zachary going to school about 10 years. How much years? About 5, 6, 7, 8 years now? And I don't remember school having to be closed so much times for rain and adverse weather conditions and water table high. But I'm hoping that everybody listening to this staying safe and only staying dry, only taking all their time on the road. I was on the road today driving to South. The car is doing a dance on the road, you know. When you're on that highway and it have a little film of water on it, it's a dangerous thing, So we taking we time on the road, check your tires, make sure you're good. And if you don't want to be on the road, try not to be on the road. My prayer is going out to everybody in Caroni area, in St. Augustine, the Manzan stretch. I had to tell you a story my boy Jade sent for me this week, right? Jade is the man of the most of the knowledge, When you want knowledge, you have to check man like Jade. So, he said a little local history for me about the Manzan stretch, right? He said interesting info on the Manzanilla Mayaro Road as narrated by Mr. Danny Latouche, son of the late Mr. A.A. Latouche. If you don't know, that stretch that we'll usually call the Manzan stretch when you're driving between the coconut and thing, a big part of that road collapsed. I also saw the same thing happen in our road in Grand Couver. Several landslides. I saw Emile Surret, who's one of the top hiking guides in the country, talking about the amounts of landslides on the North Coast Road. If I saying that right, is North Coast Road? Or you going from Blanchisseuse back to Las Cuevas? I believe he was doing a hike. And he said there's 17 landslides that they count in between there. But the Manzan stretch, the road completely collapsed. So he said, I'm assuming that as usual, when things have happened with the Mayaro-Manzanilla roadway, persons would be forwarding all sorts of opinions and formulating what should happen to those in charge. Well, in case such is the case within the Brotherhood, please allow me to give some background of the evolution of this road. He said up to the 1930s or thereabout, there was no roadway for vehicle traffic. The pathway to Mayaro was the beach at low tides. I will try to read this in a way that's making some sense, right? The pathway to Mayaro was the beach at low tides. The part that is now the roadway was laid down by the estate owners for the transportation of produce via animals and animal carts. It was sand in the main and built up with coconut shells in parts where there were depressions. This was not a government road per se, but as the population grew and motor vehicle traffic grew proportionately, the authorities negotiated with the estate owners to be allowed to pave the road. It was in large parts paved with chip-chip shells. Up to my childhood, in the old heads of Mayaro referred to it as chip-chip roads. With the continued growth and development, it was paved with pitch or /asphalt. The road part was maintained winding through the coconut trees as they were not allowed to cut any trees for straightening, etc. As coconut was the cash crop at the time, up to the 20s of the person who writing this. It was the cause of countless fatal accidents as there was a particular coconut tree that was growing out of the asphalt. The coconut, as it was called by locals, became infamous because of that fact. The fallen nuts would often impact vehicles, breaking windscreens, causing body damage. All affected drivers had to do was retrieve the culprit nut, take it to the estate office, and compensation was paid. This is true. He was getting compensation if the nut bust your glass. I wonder what's the situation now. It was not until the NAR came into power, I believe that's between 86 and 90, ending abruptly in 1990. It was not until the NAR came into power that the coconut trees were cut back from the edges of the roadway and the owners compensated as a result of representation made by then Attorney General and Parliamentary Representative for Mayaro, Selwyn Richardson. The road was widened about 2 feet on each side, so gentlemen, this roadway was never designed nor built by any engineers. It has no structured foundation. Hence the reason it's so easily undercut by the rushing water. It's basically asphalt laid on sand. What we are seeing today happened before. Salute to my boy Jade and whoever sent this little bit of information. I was interested to read that because coincidentally I was just talking to Jade as an engineer, a partner, my neighbor and friend. And I was asking him why all roads had to be looking like that. I'm noticing the roadway in Trinidad and Tobago is particularly bad. And with this weather, they're doing a good job filling the potholes and making everything look level. I could tell you in Shogunas here where I live, it's bad. Like, if you're coming off the highway northbound to turn into Shogunas, there's a huge hole on that junction if you want to turn right to come into Shogunas on the eastern side of the highway. And because the rainfall and cover that up nice, people banging their car into that. I hear about a video that was going around with men on the beatum who this bus tire after bus tire going down the highway. I ain't understanding what happened with our roadways here. But I was really glad to see that the Western Main Road, I went up there recently, and the Western Main Road, at least the part in front of the barracks, it seemed as though some paving was done there. Resurfacing or paving, I don't know where it's called this, right? But the reason I was asking Jade is because that road now repave. And even before Wassa dig it up or anything happen, somehow it don't be looking nice like first world roads. It don't be looking like first world roads at all. It always looking like, if you know what I mean. And I'm trying to figure out why when I travel and the road and the pavement looking so nice, everything looking smooth with this thing, why it is I had to come back here and see the roads and I'm like, but anyhow, we ain't starting with the weather and the road, and that's just a little observation, a little tidbit of information. Salute my boy Jay. I want to start with the culture, as I've promised that I will continue to do. And it seems as though Burna Boy is now part of our culture. Apparently, Burna Boy will be here on the 16th of December, week before Christmas, How are you feeling? Are you going Burna Boy? Because coincidentally, the tickets already sold out. I believe they say 600 or 500 and $800 tickets sold out. And that was since last week when I was planning to record. And I found this was real interesting. Something happened, you know. Something happened with Burna Boy. I don't know if he had a diaspora at all. Because last time he did Tobago, I believe it was Curacao. Where does he say he reached late? Dominica? Or Curacao and Dominica, and then he reached late to St. Lucia or St. Kitts. Some of them countries he ended up reaching late. And they have him down as a late man now, but I don't think it's something that he typically does. Whatever was the issue in that concert where he reached late doesn't seem to be a normal thing. St. Martin, I believe it was. But he is coming back to Trinidad. He will also be in Jamaica and Antigua. I think Jamaica is early in the year next year, and Antigua is the 17th of December, the day after Trinidad. So let me hope this weather hold up, because Burna Boy seem to be, unlucky in Tobago with that amount of rain that fell, almost postponing or cancelling the concert. I doubt if he had to cancel, he could have done anything but put off that show till a much later time outside of Tobago Carnival with the amount of bookings that he had. But it seems as though he's doing something in the diaspora, man. I find something. Again, I keep saying that it's not normal for us in the region here to have the biggest artists in the world, much less this frequently. Where within the space of 2 months, the man covering the whole Caribbean. So I feel like if he identified the diaspora, the African diaspora, and he said, boy, I had to go and reach my people, which I appreciate. Am I going? No, I ain't going on that way. I don't think I'm the biggest fan of Burna Boy. Maybe I just like Calypso too much. And I'm not the biggest fan of Afrobeats. No knock on anybody who like it and thing, but I just find that, his songs real popular, so people gonna stop and people will sing along with them, and it look like if everybody just sing along with the first line and say, last, breakfast, everybody run to the fast, yo, and everybody will sing that, and that looked like the whole performance and everything to me. I can't do it. And beyond that, I don't think I could stand up for so long to watch no Burna Boy. I saved my feet for the fete season. But salute to the people who organizing Burna Boy. It looks like a bigger show this time because it is in the... Is it in the National Stadium? I believe they say it was in the stadium. And looking like a much bigger show, a bigger... not no Plymouth Recreation Ground. So more people will be able to go on to see him. And anybody who missed him in Tobago was unfortunate enough to leave because of the rain and figured the thing would be cancelled and miss out on a good show. Or even those who were there but didn't get the best show because of the amount of rain. It is for artists to run out on a stage fully raincoat up. You can't even see the artist's face good. So hopefully you get a nice little weather and a great show here. And same for Antigua and Jamaica. I'm sure he'll be well received in all those countries. I must have a little fete the other day, I want to say happy birthday to my loving, well, I used to have a young wife, but I know the numbers starting to add up. The numbers getting a little big, you know what I mean? But happy birthday to Stacy. Stacy had a birthday party here. All that is the reason why I had no episode last week, because they drunk me to do all kind of thing. But we had a nice little 80s theme party. I want to say salute to all my brothers and sisters, or my brothers and sisters, and brothers and their wives and so on, who come through for the birthday party and dress up in the little 80s theme. Now, me and two know what is 80s, The only thing I could think of for 80s is Adidas tracksuit. But I reach where I'm going now because people are picking out my clothes. So while I'm in the bathroom, I come out, I say, well, all right, fete time. I see clothes laid out for me on the bed. I can't even choose my own clothes again. These days where it comes to. But we had a nice little time, man. I think I'm going to have a home for fetes. I have a neighbor by the name of Zola. So little boy Zola every time. And I'm watching how we have a little squad in my area here where party just go extra board here real fast. People having a great time. When I say extra board, I'm talking about 40-year-old extra board, right? So 40-year-old extra board is finished about 1, 2 o'clock for the latest. People foot this be hurting and they leave you even know when they're gone. That kind of 40-year-old, that kind of extra board is what I'm referring to. But the way we have the little vibe here, I feel we have something, Because I wonder if people would remember going to Vale Fete in the early days of Vale Fete or Palm Avenue. I believe they used to call that Sunny Side Up when everybody had love each other. And then one turn Sunny Side and the next one turn up. But in the days of the little community fetes, that it had to be that those fetes turn out just like how we have our little, we had a birthday party for Stacy here. We had a Father's Day lime. I believe them ladies put on a nice little Father's Day thing for us. That turned into a fete. We had a Valentine's Day lime. It turned into a fete. The little energy here. I feel we have something we could bottle and sell like how Vale vibe was, because Vale used to be on, I don't know the name of the street in Diamond Vale, but it used to be on the street, right? By where one of the parks is inside Diamond Vale. And the party spill over from in the street all the way into the park, and it was a nice little kind of small, inclusive carnival Sunday morning. And now, the last time I went Vale would be a few years ago, but they had it up in Santa Cruz. And it's nice because you're still going to see all the same Fatima St. Mary's Cure. See everybody who went to school in the West, all the convent girls, and everybody has come out, and it's a sort of reunion for people who was living in the West. But that Vale vibe that went to Santa Cruz is nowhere near the same as when it was just a little street party. So I'm starting to believe we have a little thing going. So from the time you hear this podcast, I'll push tickets for FET. Or let's support the FET. Come down in the view online. But that was nice. Now, so that I've given all my reasons why I find things to blame for not having any podcast last week. One was rain, one was Stacey birthday, and so on. But things to talk about, right? Let me get to the news. I don't have a whole lot going on, so let it forgive me. I don't have a whole set of things going on in the country now, but I want to talk about some of the main things that would have stood out, right? One of them that stood out is ex-FIFA Vice President Jack Warner loses appeal against extradition from Trinidad. No. Salute for that, right? We watch the FIFA documentary and we all see how bad it was. And all of us in World Cup fever. Next reason why I don't too much football, I can't record. But the World Cup going on in Qatar right now, right? If you remember, this Russia and Qatar World Cup would have been the main reason that FIFA was so hastily investigated or thoroughly investigated to the point where they start bringing down men like Jack Warner, Chuck Blazer, Ben Hammam. Of course, nothing laid against Sepp Blatter. Sepp Blatter is innocent in all this. Imagine that the man who's at the head of the organization could easily claim to be completely pure. You know what I mean? He, according to Jack, he's pious. He good. He have no issues whatsoever. And my thing is that, number one, you see, locking up old people, I find it not right. I find Jack too old to be in shackles, sent on a plane to go back to the States and all that. I don't believe he will go back. Most people feel that at some point they will see Jack heading to the States for extradition and lock up over there. When you do a little simple Google search of his two sons, Daryl and Darian, you're seeing them pleading guilty. And it's unclear whether they do time or anything. They were certainly arrested, as the FIFA documentary had said, but it's unclear if they did time or anything. I watch enough of them movies like Narcos and things to know that if you plead guilty to something and don't do no time or don't do no set of time, it means that you bring down people with you. So while they say in the documentary that Jack was with his sons and they come to arrest him and he say, I hope all they get good lawyers. Take care, it's not Jack's son and them who say, yeah, it's daddy. It's daddy. So I can't remember if I talked about this story last week where I went to the World Cup that they were talking about in 2006, where Darian and Daryl plead guilty to some kind of ticket fiasco, a ticket racket. And I went to the World Cup, but this person who's listened to all the episodes of this podcast, so was it John, I call him name loud, Rene Popplewell at the time, Desiree Fort at the time, Sawyer Charles at the time, you know what I mean? And we had decided that a Trinidad qualify, we go in the World Cup and we at least go in the Sweden game and take it in. Right now, I realized at that point in time it's only woman I traveling with and them interested in Lyman and not really visiting the World Cup game, right? But when we were buying tickets, I remember it might have been those who were abroad because it was only me and Swazet traveling from Trinidad. Rennie was in England along with Latoya. Desiree in the States. So everybody in different places and organizing the tickets. Some of them went and get the tickets through TTFA. Now, I don't know if people would remember, right? It was extremely difficult to get tickets through TTFF at the time, I believe it was. Because all the tickets were part of packages that were done by Simple's Travel. Guess who owns Simple's Travel? Take a wild guess from me. So instead of being able to just go and say, all right, well, I want a ticket to go and watch us play England or watch us play Sweden or watch Paraguay, you had to buy a package from Simple Travel that included airfare and accommodation and ground transfers and everything. So, of course, There's only a certain type of you had to have money to do that. Keep in mind that when we qualified for the World Cup, I was 25 years old, 26 years old. I can't afford to do any. I mean, I probably can't afford to do that now. So if you look at that documentary, right, I want you to watch it closely. And you see when Sancho was talking and they show you the games. When they show all those Trinidadians together, those were the people who were the Trinidadian contingent who would have gotten their tickets and their packages through Simples, right? So all of them end up sitting down together. Where I was sitting was nowhere near the Trinidad. I was in the middle of Swedish people. It was in the stadium that Borussia Dortmund has played their games in, right? I can't remember the name of the stadium. It's all about 85,000 people, if I'm not mistaken. That group of people, I want you to go and watch the faces carefully of the people who were sitting together, right? I can tell you some of the faces I see. One of the faces I see is a man who owned one of the biggest signage companies in this country called AGB, a man by the name of Andy Gomezburg. Salute, Andy. I see a young legend by the name of Justice Sobian, son of the great Keith Sobian, brother of the great Jules Sobian, you know what I mean? I saw Marshall Montano. So this is the ilk that was able to do it. Because Jack and them put the thing in such a way where you had to buy it through Simple Travel. So the average man in the street, the average football fan, and I don't want to knock any of them, right? Because they might have well been going to all the games and stuff. But like me, so who would have gone all the qualifying matches? I was supporting that campaign, as would every other Trinidad and Tobago campaign, since Bertil Sinclair was the coach and getting booed in the stadium, right? I was there supporting that them game when the stadium was empty. I see the stadium get gradually more full as they get Dwight York to come back, and eventually York got Latapi to come back after Ben Hacker was installed, and we win some games. I remember seeing Dennis Lawrence. People credit Dennis Lawrence big time for that goal he scored in Bahrain, right? But there was a goal that Dennis Lawrence scored in Trinidad here. Breakaway completely. Imagine your last stopper breakaway clean and beat the keeper and score. I don't know if people remember them saying Dennis Lawrence a legend, you know? And I remember telling my boy Damian Panton at that time, who used to go all the games with me, I say, boy, if your last stopper scoring them kind of goals, we go in the World Cup. It had no doubt about it. And it was just a whole different energy. But like me, so now couldn't afford to get the tickets through, which is a travesty. This is what the accusation is of FIFA officials more than anything else. It's not so much the corruption and is the fact that you're taking away the game from the average person. So you could not buy a ticket. You had to go. There would have been few tickets on sale initially, and then they say tickets sold out, and the only way to access tickets is through Simple Travel. So the men went and plead guilty for that, right? Now here it is. I buy my tickets online. I want to believe it's me, Desiree, and Swazet. If I remember right, 3 of us bought it online. We just went on FIFA website and they show you games and you could have buy a ticket. I don't know if that was common knowledge to everybody at the time. So we had tickets for the game. And another pair of friends bought it from one of the loose tickets from TTFF, right? Not the Simple Travel. They get tickets. I don't know how they get through. And when we went to the games, them two people who buy the tickets together at the same time end up sitting down on 2 whole different ends of the stadium, not even next to one another. It's craziness. It's crazy how them men racket the thing. And it's so sad to hear Sancho and Shaka Hislop, 2 legends in the football at the time and forever, talking about trying to negotiate. They didn't know it had a bonus for qualifying. They ensured to get paid, and they never got paid by the TTFF. And I want to tell you that the World Cup itself, right? FIFA find a way to create the greatest product the earth has ever had. You had to salute them, you know? It's how Apple, people like to talk about Apple and Nike and Toyota and Honda and Benz and whatever is your favorite brand. I think FIFA create the greatest product ever known to mankind. And Qatar World Cup showing us why this is the case. So for me, right, the World Cup is a big deal for me. I see my guy in Guyana, Vishnu Durga, so salute to Vishnu, saying, if you consume and you're prioritizing football over the things in your life, you have to watch out your life. This is the way I look at it. World Cup is every 4 years. That means at best, on average, all of us, I have about 20 World Cup in me. I have about 20 World Cups that I will see in my lifetime. At 42 years old, that means half the World Cups I had to see done gone already. The first World Cup I remember is 1986 Mexico. I'm 6 years old and now starting to understand what is football and thing from a cousin Barney and them. That was a big thing home there. And from then, I like Diego Armando Maradona. I guess up to today, I like to. If I had to say it, have a side I like in the World Cup, if Trinidad not there, Argentina would be the side. I have a caveat for that too, right? But when I only have 40 of these things to see, or how much? How much I have to see? 20 of these things to see, right? In my lifetime. I try to make the World Cup into something special every single time. I like to take in the games, to get to know the teams, see who I like, see who I ain't like, back the black people, you know, he's black. Back black, you know what I mean? We want the black people to win. Whichever team are more black people, traditionally, Trinidad is not a root for them, right? So people don't vex with Cristiano Ronaldo for the first game because they say it's a thief goal, that thief penalty they get and all them kind of things. So, and I see him try to thief a goal today again, coincidentally. Yeah, he good sad, you know. I will never all the man you men and things feel watching this. This man is sad. I was watching the interview and at first I was thinking, you know, maybe he just exposed anything, he frustrated and this. That brother, selfish, bad. Imagine a man cross a ball today. That man didn't touch nothing on the ball but celebrating. All he interested in is the record, you know. And then he coming off the field trying to act normal. He wasn't even happy about that. But anyway, the fellas and them figure out a way to create the greatest product in the world. You only have 20 to see in a lifetime. I'm making something special out of it. Out of all the World Cups I see, Trinidad only qualify once. And I know how it feels when I come off a train in Dortmund and my national anthem was playing. Tears in my eye. I see Maximus Dan perform. Water in my eye. Whole time we in Germany, you had to sing whoa, whoa. You had to sing that every time people see it. The pride you feel when your team qualify for the World Cup. You get so attached to that you might watch the World Cup now and see when somebody can see that late goal, they show you the euphoria on some faces in some countries that their team get through. And then the camera goes and show you the pain that some teams feel when they get scored on. Like today, I see Portugal score against Uruguay. And it's the same thing happen. They show you all of them celebrating and all the Portuguese fans in an uproar. And then they show you what is it called? Uruguayan? The people from Uruguay. They show you them as the most amount of puta I ever see. People telling Cristiano Ronaldo, puta is the most amount of puta I ever see. So the pain that people feel when the team lose or the joy that people feel, people have an emotional attachment to their team that's stronger than any product I ever see selling in this world, including the Olympics. The Olympics do bring out this in people. And I saw that firsthand when Trinidad was in 80 minutes almost going to draw with Sweden. I saw Swedish fans biting the nails. Just what you see on TV in slow motion when you see them fans. I saw that when you turn around. I remember when the whistle blew. 3 of us alone, and we celebrated. I could not feel happier. A draw feel to me like we win the World Cup. And within all this celebration and stuff, I kind of turn around and I see 2 little boys. These little boys in this Swedish jersey and their hair blue and yellow and thing. And these little boys crying. And the human side, I just get them a little pat and say, boy, so it go. I really trying to tell them, listen, or they probably still go and get through. We just enjoy this moment. All you probably good. But seeing that, I get them a little pat on the back, then I get the little Swedish fans a clap and they clap. And listen, it was a love from that moment on. They felt the pain of it, but at that point they had more all kind of different Swedish. They just had a hand things, and we trying to feel well. I wish I had 100 jerseys I could have changed with people, as I was talking about that last week. So FIFA find a way to create the greatest product of all time. And this is where the crime is coming in, because Jack Warner and them fully well know they don't have to pay the players. They could hide everything from the players and collect all the money themselves. The trick to it is this: because people so attached to it and so attached to the teams, if you are a government in power in a country where the football federation does not pay the players, what you going to do when election coming up? You have an election on the horizon. Let me say we playing World Cup in 2022. Your election is in 2024. You're not going to pay them players who Trinidad and Tobago love and everybody. When Sancho and them come back, people was looking to the government to see what the government would do for them. And I think the government paid whatever they say they were owed by TTA or settled the case. And then they also gave them like $1 million from unit trust and stuff that they would typically do for Olympic athletes or people who do well. They give them bonuses or houses or whatever. I hear rumors saying the Saudi team gets some Rolls Royces or Bentleys or something like that for beating. Who they beat? Argentina. I should not bring that up. So these fellas in FIFA understand that the government has to intervene. Understand as well that it is against the rules of the football federations to have political interference. If the government gets involved to audit, to arrest, to intervene in any way between what is happening in any impasse between the players and the federation, you are banned from FIFA. You are not going to be able to compete in the next World Cup. Just remember them faces of people who screaming and who joyous and people who crying for the team. They're going to blame the government. They're not going to say nothing about Jack. They don't care about Jack Warner, whoever is the head of the federation, Ben Hammam. They don't care about it. What they care about is the government doing something that is stopping their team from being able to go to the World Cup and go to World Cup glory. Remember that if I have 20 World Cup in me, how much World Cup you feel a player have? How much Messi and them have? 3 or 4? Every player, no matter how great you are, you have about 3 World Cups that you could probably go to, maybe 4 if you're Roger Miller. Or if you play till you're like Ronaldo and Messi, you might get to 4. You get me? Anybody ever do 5 and thing, but you have a very limited amount of World Cups to get to. So that national pride, the star player is going to forfeit the money, because when a man like Mbappe getting $2 million a month, it doesn't matter what France pay him to go there. He's doing it for national pride. So you're always going to get the biggest stars because they understand that they only have 4 or 5 in them. And then the fans going to always follow them. So TTFA or whichever FA, UEFA, whoever it might be, they know that they could bob all the thing in any way that they want because the governments have to succumb to what they're doing. There's too much political pressure for the local government to go and interfere with football. Now, I would be against that if the politicians themselves did not seek to benefit so much from the very football, because while you might blame Jack Warner and you want to hang him and you want to extradite him and you want to make an example of him, I want us to admit to ourselves that if that World Cup in Russia and that World Cup in Qatar was given to the USA and England according to the bids, I think Chuck Blazer would still be alive. Sepp would still be in charge of FIFA. Jack Warner would still be flying high and wouldn't have no normalization committee here, and we might have a better chance to qualify at this point in time. That's my belief. Because I don't see Infantino as any cleaner than Blatter. Infantino corrupt like hell. Forget Infantino come here and take a sweat and center excellence. These fellas corrupt like hell. This is FIFA. It's institutionalized. It has nothing to do with the individual. So the governments of the countries who end up sending teams to World Cups or anywhere that is successful, they campaign based on this. You know what I mean? They make that a big part of their sporting program and this and that. So if you're taking credit for the things that go good, you're going to end up taking blame when they go bad. And there's a genius of Jack. As I say, it's the greatest product ever created. And as we talk about USA and England, right? I particularly enjoying this Qatar World Cup. I like the fact that the World Cup is in Qatar. I like that it's a Muslim country. It's very, very different. And I know the concerns people had before about will they sell alcohol or not, what happened to the LGBT community, man who like to go and run woman, what could be the situation there. But while we're saying that, I've seen reports on Al Jazeera and BBC who on the ground showing you how fans between games dressing in the Qatari traditional wear. You know, I think this is what the world needs. No, I'm not talking about how they get the World Cup, but I also don't see how they would get it from USA and England without bobbling anything themselves, without corrupt the scene, because there's no country in this world that could put together a better bid for a World Cup than USA, England, China. The big country is always going to win. There's never going to be a chance for a small country, even a small country with money, to get a World Cup, unless you grease some pockets and you send 10 million for your boy Jack, you know what I mean? Unless you put some money that way. But I like the Qatari World Cup. I think this is the World Cup itself. Forget all the corruption and everything behind it. The World Cup itself is an opportunity for us to see the world and to see how people live differently from us and approach life and what their values are. And the fact that they have different values doesn't mean that your Western values right or them values wrong. The people say it have things that they don't tolerate in their society. What is the goal here? The goal is to go there and make them tolerant. You have to be tolerant or else you can't do nothing else. Or is it to go there and understand what it is why they might not like certain things or why they might be against certain things. And maybe even to share why you for certain things and maybe walk away agreeing to disagree. That's cool. So when I saw the uproar about the players not able to wear, I believe it was One Love bands in support of the LGBT community, I kind of tell myself, well, why? Okay, I don't see anything wrong with FIFA coming out and say, or Qatar as the host coming out and say, nah, not here. It's cool. I don't condone violence against anybody. I wish people could have their way to live their lives the way they want to live it and everything. But I also understand that it are things I could do home here that I can't do when I go by my mother. It's a thing I do here, but I can't do by my father. When I bounce up Father Gregory here, I have a certain way I will behave. I'm comfortable adjusting my behavior to the setting that I'm in. I don't want to be in a place where I'm threatened or anything like that because of my beliefs. Like I saw a man in the Portugal versus Uruguay game. He run on with the LGBT flag. Although the people tell you, your own safety, don't come in no flag. It could be bad. Because while we at the top levels trying to be tolerant and trying to sensitize people, still have extremists. I say in them words, right? That's not what they said, but this man tried to run on the field of I see people on Instagram and talking about it. Sorry for him. They say he ain't leaving Qatar. I don't condone that. I don't believe that we should live like that where any view that you expose as different from mine is condemnation is the way we deal with it. I don't think it's right. But I think that we ourselves seek to condemn sometimes. You're going to our World Cup in a Muslim country. If the people want to have no alcohol, we have an alcohol-free World Cup. You know what I mean? That might be it might be a vibe. It's just different. It don't have to be the same every time. Hence the reason is the World Cup. You want to see what the world have to offer in real life. And while you learn from them, they will learn from you too. I like the logo for this World Cup, how it has something to do with some kind of Qatari. It's bad. If you ain't watching the World Cup, start to watch it, right? I even like the campaigns. If you notice the big brands, the way they did their campaigns is different than what you would have seen in a World Cup that was in Brazil. Coca-Cola does an excellent job at this, right? They typically have very big mass media campaigns that support the World Cup as one of the biggest sponsors, right? And you would notice that they are very, very culturally, I don't want to just say culturally sensitive, but they find ways to adapt to the culture that they market into. So I think that because of that, they also find ways to tastefully market their product in different cultures when the World Cup is hosted in those cultures. And I like the way they did there's a ad they did with a girl running through the street with a little coke and thing. And you would notice that she well covered. She's not, you know, if it was in Brazil, that girl would have been in a tribe costume, right? But they deliberately didn't do that because they're showing some kind of care. And I feel that's more of what we need. We need to see what Qatar have to offer the world. I want to salute to my guy, Quentin Prescott, and every other Trini who went to the World Cup. Now, me personally, I'm not going to no World Cup with Trinidad and qualify. I can't do it. I cannot bring myself to do it. And as I'm saying it here again, if Trinidad don't qualify for this next World Cup in 2026, where USA, Mexico, and Canada qualifying automatically, I'm done with Trinidad and Tobago football. I don't want no part of it. I'm washing my hand of that. We must qualify. The only side we had trouble there with is Costa Rica. As a matter of fact, I pointed out that we and Jamaica are supposed to qualify, and I'm going all Trinidad and Jamaica games once I could go. Once it's now in Mexico too. Hopefully it's in the States or Canada. I ain't trying to traverse Mexico like that. Huh? But I saw Quentin and them, like, they have a little travel group. Oh God, I wish I had known the name of the travel group. At some point in life, I'll tell you the name of the travel group, right? Because I like what they're doing. And he went to Qatar, went to several games. He said, like, because the games in Trinidad is like, you have a game at 6, then another game at 9, one at 12, and one at 3. Up to today, up to I recorded on Monday. From Tuesday onward, the games will be at 11 and I believe 3. But he said that he was, when they would leave one game and walk to the other game. I guess the place not as big as I think, because in Germany, you ain't walking to the next game, right? But they leaving and walking up. Granted, it's far, but they're able to walk. And he said it was like a carnival type atmosphere where people leaving one game and everybody make a little chip. And you know what I mean? They walk across to the next game where they had the tickets. I like that from the standpoint of the experiential. You can't replace them experiences, you know. Like Deepak Chopra is saying, spend your money on experiences, not on things. You know, sometimes you buy things and you don't feel so good about it after. Get buyer's remorse and stuff. You hardly get buyer's remorse when you go and you have experiences and you have stories to tell for the rest of your life. Like they will be able to tell their own stories about the culture. I remember him talking about, if it's a game, it had to be Tunisia, I want to say, I can't remember. But you see, like when they went, the Tunisia fans were in their seats and he had to kind of jostle a little bit, and nobody sitting down on the seats, everybody standing on the seat jumping for the team. He said he had to kind of jump up on some seat to make some space for their seats. And you go on there basically like if you back in Tunisia with your Trinidad flag and everything. So salute to them. And again, FIFA find a way to create the greatest product of it. And for that reason, I hope Jack Warner don't make no jail. That's my own biases, right? If you do wrong, you should get punished. But if you're listening to this long enough, you know that I don't believe in jail whatsoever. Much less for old people. I find jail should have a cutoff time. Like when you have NIS contributions, it's cut off at what, 65? I find jail should have a cutoff time. So you shouldn't lock up old people. You put this man in a cell. We can imagine Jack they put Jack in a jumpsuit, no glasses, they ain't trimming him and saying, I don't like to see that man. Let the man age good. He don't do you wrong already. All right, cool. Everybody else do wrong too. Leave this man alone. So coming from the Newsday, Narissa Fraser, talking about Trinis in Qatar. I believe that they have some Trinis in Qatar too doing oil and gas work. And I also wanted to mention, just to be fair, that in the lead up to the Qatar World Cup, there's been a lot of accusations of people losing their lives, immigrant workers not treated well, and so on. So that I will also acknowledge. But outside of that, I hope those are things that we could clean up in the future. But I want to see more World Cups in countries that not on the beaten path of the average tourist, who always going to the States or going to England or even Mexico, going Cancun. And if they could go to more countries, I understand that Morocco was one of the countries that was bidden. That would be nice to see a World Cup in a place like Morocco. You know what I mean? Make it different, make it a vibe. Not saying that the bigger countries don't have something to offer, but if we leave it at that, they will host of all 40 World Cups. All of them will be in one of these countries. How much we had to see? 20. Of the 20 World Cups we see in our lifetime, why we can't see some other countries that have a different vibe and a different religious background and different types of laws? And you know what I mean? It would be nice. North Korea next, right? But anyway, after a surreal experience at the 2006 World Cup in Germany, Trinidadian Anderson Homer and his family vowed never to miss another World Cup. They almost achieved that goal, then fell short by missing out on the 2010 South Africa World Cup. But they picked back up a pace in 2014, and now they're at 2022 World Cup in Qatar, having the time of their lives. Homer 43. I don't know Homer is do for a living. Homer 43 and going all these World Cup. Homer 43 was born and raised in Williamsville and lived here for 33 years before migrating to the US. Williamsville is not in the US. Is that about Williamsville down here? All right. He now lives in North Carolina. When Trinidad and Tobago qualified for the 2006 competition, he, his brother, and his father went to Germany to support their countrymen. The experience was amazing, he said. I decided I was never going to miss a World Cup again. But in 2010, his brother got married and Homer didn't want to go without him and so on. He said, now in Qatar, he said, despite how Western media tried to make this World Cup look, especially owing to politics, Qatar has been amazing so far. Quoted as saying, speaking from personal experience, going to another World Cup before this one, I think going to be speaking from personal experience, going to other World Cups before this one is, I think, going to be impossible to top in terms of how they organize everything. Okay, so he's saying it's hard to beat Qatar World Cup in terms of the level of organization. He says, as a fan, it's been easy to move around and attend games and stay here and have a good time. He said he grew up in a football family and his father, Andy Homer, played the sport, and former national player Gerard Homer is his uncle. As a diehard Brazilian fan, okay, this article is over. You see a diehard Brazilian fan, so let me get on to my side now. So my side, because of 1986 World Cup, salute to Mr. Homer, right? But as he started with diehard Brazil thing, I don't know what it is with Trinidad and Jamaica or Caribbean people with this damn Brazil thing, but I myself, I am a Chelsea fan, sparingly. Because again, I like English football. I like football generally, and I like the English football, and I support Chelsea. But I always remember that these people in England was a big part of the slave trade and so on. Almost every country that have a major international football league or major domestic football league, all of them was little slave traders and owners and do black people, all kind of thing. I don't like to forget these kind of things, And when I hear they say, well, you own Rudiger, and you know, big black Rudiger is a German, but you own him and you could sell him to the. It feels uncomfortable to me. That's just me. Maybe it's just my mental. You see this kind of thing where you own a man and you sell him and you this and that, or you fed up a he, so you bench him and any career. It makes me a slightly uneasy, but I like Chelsea a little bit. Argentina is a side I like, again, because of Maradona in 86. I start following them from then. And I will always remember how I felt when Argentina get knocked out Italy in 1990. It was sad, and I was even more sad for me because so much of Trinidad like Brazil. And so being an Argentina fan as a youth man, it was just different. Nobody didn't really like Argentina. But as I started to get older and I watch a certain scene, right, there's no country in the world that has less black people on the team than Argentina, including people like China and South Korea. I don't know what it is about Argentina. Because even when they show you South Korea, you might sort of open the stands, you see a couple of black people back in them, even if you didn't see one on the field. But Argentina seems to not have no black people whatsoever on the team. Historically, you don't see no black people. When they're watching the stands, everybody white. And I started to say, wait, something can't be right here. If only bring slaves all over the Americas, from as far north as you could go to as far south as you could go in the Americas, both went and people drop off. And only when I read up on it, I see Argentina in the years of dictatorship. Coincidentally, they talk about that in the FIFA, how they call it thing now? Documentary, FIFA Uncovered. They talk about Argentina hosting a World Cup under dictatorship, dictating regime, a regime of dictators. And apparently during that dictatorship, the CSO, what they have there? CSO? Whoever is do the census something, them men decide here what's going on. We put any percentage of black people here as 0. So apparently they had a percentage of black people there at about 20%. And somebody say, here what? Just put note, don't count them. You know what I mean? It's bad because even in the States where things were so bad in the South, at least they used to say a man is 1/3 of a vote or 2/3 of a man. What do you used to say about black people is a portion of a man? In Argentina, they men say none, 0. Eliminate them. Do not count them. Don't put them in our statistics. When you're putting them, just put the other races. And then slowly but surely, they started finding ways to get rid of black people. You go and find out the ways yourself in terms of how they get rid of them. But the black population in Argentina, like there's several things on YouTube you could go and watch about it. And several things on if you read up on it on the internet talking about, just look up black people in Argentina, the history of the black man in Argentina. And then you start to realize that when you're back in this side, what is you're really supporting. But having said that, I'm hoping, I like Messi a lot. I suppose I only see, when I see Maradona, I didn't know enough about football to know I was watching. I was basically back the winner. But since I'm watching football, Messi had to be one of my favorite players in terms of the way he's played. He don't go to ground easy. You know what I mean? My father don't like him. My father's always say he's sour. He always, when he lost Copa America and he lost in the World Cup last time, he looked so shell-shocked and things that he say he no leader. But I like him. I'm hoping they get through Saudi Arabia. Beat me up in the first game. I didn't like that too much, but hopefully we get into a point where the team starting to gel and play better, and just move on to the second round. Let me make this simple now and see if you could go all the way in the World Cup. But there are some teams looking really strong. Unfortunately, Brazil is one of them teams. Germany look very, very shaky every step of the way. Your big team who looking good right now is Spain, so maybe that's one to watch. But I still have this World Cup as one where you really had to start to look out for underdogs. I feel like people pulling up. I see Neymar come and get injured now. I just think this Christmas World Cup, as romantic as it is, I think as you go deeper into the World Cup, you will continue to see players getting pulling up. I ain't calling out nobody. I hope it's not the case, but you're probably gonna see it. These last set of games gonna go pell-mell, and people gonna be all out, and unfortunately, you will see some people pull up. But it's a great World Cup, and I hope we have more like Qatar, according to Mr. Homer. Now, as I'm done here talking about the greatest product in the world, right? We do a marketing class. We want to do a mini marketing class today. Or economics, what are we doing? Black Friday, what will you do? All the other thing and thing was the situation. Because usually Black Friday is one of the biggest things in the country. I remember one time going to collect my stuffs after Black Friday. I say, right, I order some nice little things in the game. Order all my Christmas gifts on them early on the Black Friday and the Cyber Monday we are sale. I'm good to go. And I went by Aeropost in Marabella. And what I saw was bedlam because there are tents outside with so much packages. They couldn't deal with it, with how much people come in to collect packages. We've also seen plenty pictures or videos of people rushing Price Smart. I remember one in particular where people were rushing for fruitcake for some strange reason. Where people were rushing Price Smart to pick up TV, people rushing in courts, all kind of places have Black Friday sale beside the online people. And I find like Black Friday come this year and I wasn't even sure. I said, but this is Black Friday in real life. What is happening? Because you ain't seeing no. I saw one video from courts and then it seemed to be courts Guyana. But no big lineup outside like we used to see outside Price Smart, and I say, but something ain't looking right. But now it's being talked about. But thanks to Adriana Salandi in Newsday, she had a report here saying, when Newsday visited Price Smart in Vedas Bay and walked the streets of Port of Spain for the most anticipated sale of the year, Black Friday, there were significantly fewer people shopping in stores than in previous years. Price Smart, which is usually packed with people forming lines inside and outside the store for Black Friday, had fewer people and shorter lines this year. Sales reps said their sale had begun earlier this week, which could have been why fewer people were shopping at the store on Black Friday itself. You know, that's something I see in more and more. They have the Black Friday sales and everything, but most of the places, like if I look at Nike and Apple where I'm looking for things, all of them started telling early in the week, pre-Black Friday sale or early deals, and Amazon does a lot of that too. But she went on to say mattresses and television sets were the most popular items in customer shopping carts. A video of a large crowd waiting outside a branch of court circulated on social media with over 50,000 views. It said they had been waiting outside there at 4 a.m. Newsday confirmed with Court's marketing department that the viral video was actually taken in Guyana. She said business at the stores along Frederick Street and Port of Spain, Frederick Street, Port of Spain, appeared to be about the same as usual with no crowds in evidence. So we seem to be, the government and the people in charge seem to be pushing the idea that we've recovered from a recession in some way. But let me tell you something. They have one of the most basic theories they tell you in econ about they call it like propensity to spend versus propensity to save, right? So in other words, when a man gets next dollar, what is he likely to do with that dollar? Is he likely to spend the whole dollar, save 50-50, or save the whole dollar? What drives that figure, right, is how you feel tomorrow going to be in the country. When people feel like tomorrow is going to be okay, they tend to spend more of the marginal dollar they get than save. You know, you could spend it, you'll be fine. You don't have to save a whole bunch of money. Everything will be good. You could make money and that kind of thing. The outlook on the future is bright. When you see people tight and holding on to the money tight-fisted, it generally sends a signal that people are not confident in what's happening in the economy. So when you see Black Friday like this, in a year coming out for COVID and all these different things where we finally have freedom, I tell myself this could be the mother of all Christmases. Everybody gonna do it big. It's big Christmas party and big dinner thing for work and all them things. I'm not hearing a whole lot about Christmas parties in the corporate world. If you're using Black Friday as a judge for how much gift people going to get and think it ain't looking so good, whatever gift you wanted, better you buy it for yourself, it ain't looking great. It looking like that marginal propensity to save your money or hold on to your money a little higher than that propensity to spend or that tendency to spend the extra dollar. Again, that is a signal that people are not confident in the economy or confident in what people call in a turnaround in any economy. That is, I don't feel comforted in that. That is not usually a good signal. I know it might seem as though, okay, if people saving their money and they're being prudent, and that's a good thing, and it means that we are less likely to go and borrow to buy consumer goods and all those things. All that might be true. But it generally points to the fact that people lack in confidence in the economy. I'm not sure if there's any effort to do anything. Somebody was pointing out to me in a class this week as well that might be true because people spend all their money on Burna Boy concerts. That is fair. But I was saying that there's something economists look at in terms of small luxuries as well when you have a recession, where people will spend a little bit of money on things because they you have to find a way to feel good. You can't afford the car, you can't afford the house, you can't afford the very big purchases, so you buy small things, right? There's one they used to call the lipstick index. They say the more expensive lipstick being sold by volume is the more likely we in a recession. Because when you're in a recession and hard times, you get a luxury from smaller items. So it's just an observation that I'm making, because it does not look good when we're going into a Christmas season and a carnival season where people tight-fisted. It's not a good outlook for business and for investors. Talking about Burna Boy, I saw a concert here. And this is like, I feel like having deja vu, because I'm pretty sure I went to this show in the early 2000s with Sizzler, Capleton, Anthony B, Coco T. Who am I missing? That's about it. Back in the day, I went that same show in Spectrum. And Luciano would be the person who missing from the bill. And it was one of the greatest shows I ever went to down here. If I'm not mistaken, Umba was the person who tried to show them. There's Matty Miller still used to have shows. And I was glad to see him playing in this show too. He and Ken Simmons. Salute to Umba from Matty Miller. And the show seemed to be, I saw some little snippets now again. I really want to be in a position where I could go to these shows and do a proper review on this show. But with my foot set up, I need to get a media pass where I can get a seat on the stage and just see what they're doing. And as soon as them men done perform, you see how I could go the explainer and give a little breakdown what happened in explainer. One day I'll be able to do that in FET and thing, but they had to give me something to sit down. I can't stand up for so long. But some men who could stand up for long. Pause. My BSC Sizzler and Capleton in particular. Capleton have a level of energy that is unmatched, unsurpassed over all these years. And to see him still doing it, Capleton is at least 75 years old. This man is not a young man. We're going to Jermaine Cruikshank. No, photo by Jermaine Cruikshank. Who write this? Gassy Gonzalez. Recorded, well, he wasn't talking about the show here, but he was talking about them passing through Rose Hall, or is it Rose Hill? Rose Hill RC Primary School. If you remember, this was the one we had talked about with the teachers, where shots fired and the teacher telling them they're answering back and all these things, right? So it's a recorded snippets of pain and panic were replaced with videos of joy when Jamaican dancehall artists Sizzler Kalanji, Miguel Orlando Collins, and Capleton Clifton Bailey III visited Rose Hill Primary School in Laventille yesterday morning. The panic while bullets flew at Rose Hill occurred on October 31st. There was an exchange of gunfire between warring factions outside the school on October 31st, but the reactions of a school teacher and her class were recorded with the teacher being heard off camera, urging the children to stay down and stay calm. What sounded like large caliber weapons were also heard. For several days, the school was shut until a security arrangement could be worked out. Since then, the school has returned to normal operations with a police SUV parked outside with police officers who do not leave until classes have been dismissed and all the children have left. I've seen that before in Laventille, coincidentally. It seemed to be a thing. Shortly before 11 a.m., the artist visited. Sizzler was the first to address the children, while Capleton was next. Sizzler is known for his 2002 hits, Just One of Those Days, Thank You Mama and Woman, I Need You. He said, each and every one of you are important to your family, your country, and the society, and to the world, and what you learn here, you will take to your future. He then turned into Uncle Sizzler. Remember now, no fighting, no quarreling, no picking, no stealing, and no slandering, okay? You'll be argumentative about stuff at times, but you're a little human being growing up to be beautiful persons, and I just want to say, right, that these children do not know who Sizzler, right? Let me know. I'm so glad they went and do this, and I find it's a very good initiative. I like to see when artists, that was something that used to happen more back in the day. When artists come to the country, they don't Burna Boy the situation and private jet in and private jet out right after the show. You used to find that artists used to come and spend some time. I remember Umba bringing Terry Ganzi one time. Terry Ganzi was living here. They say he used to pull ball in Grandy and all these things. And the man who sang Obiama and Scrape Up and thing. I remember bouncing him up in Frederick Street in Tong, and we walk and we talk a little while and thing. Artists used to come here and spend some time. And I'm not just talking about spend some time like they in Hilton for a week where nobody can see them. They used to be in Tong and around. They on the drag, the intense city. They moving, you know what I mean? Jackie is still do it to a certain extent. I know you have friends in South and thing, but so it's nice to see artists still doing some of this where when they come, they do some community work. And it shows because these artists not current, none of them. And you know, I ain't seen no clips from Anthony B performing. I wonder if Anthony B come. But none of them is current artists like they have big hits now. I mean, we love them and think, but everybody who loved them in the 40s, for sure. Maybe late 30s. So I appreciate them doing this, and you hear it from some of the Jamaican artists who've been coming here for many years, like this cast, talking about how the crime situation in Trinidad get bad. And I just wanted to flash back in the day when we used to look at Jamaica like if it's the most crime rate. When first time I went to Jamaica, I frightened like hell. I watch in a street in New Kingston. I come out of the hotel, when I watch down the street, I say, nah, that looking like crime down that street. I going back in the hotel hungry, I ain't eat nothing. And now, these Jamaican artists who are accustomed coming here and seeing what Trinidad is like and could move everywhere themselves, starting to see the place getting in a whole mess. So it's nice for them to go and do this, but these children don't know who is no Capleton or no Sizzler. I mean, it was nice for the children to participate, but this had to be for the teachers. Whoever organized that, the Fitzgerald Lines was behind it. This had to be for the teachers, because the teachers is the ones who are going to know who is Capleton and Sizzler. I wonder if they get them a little project to do. You know, they get them a project in primary school and tell them, research this one or that one. What if they get them some work to do on these things, because these children must be wondering, who is these old people talking here? But I'm glad that they did it still, and it's nice to see uplifting news coming out of Rose Hill, especially what they would have gone through recently. All right, now we're doing all kind of thing not to talk about a particular story, right? And again, out of here fast, and I'm going to play my Christmas music and leave. But doing all kind of thing to avoid a story here that I'm seeing, where the Commission of Enquiry has started into the tragedy that was the divers passing away at the job site at Paria, right? And first and foremost, I want to say salute to Christopher Boudram, who is the lone survivor who is giving testimony. I think is enormously brave, and you could see that is the type of person he is. I just want to say salute to him for being able to do this at all. I'm not sure if I would have what it takes to talk about it. And he's struggling through it, but he's doing it. I admire that. And I hope that he get all the help he needs to deal with this and the guilt that he faces. And I just hope that he find peace in some way and get all the help that he could get, because that is not an easy thing. And you're hearing it in his voice when he's talking, right? And I want to say that I saw something on Trinidad Is Not a Real Place Instagram page that I just want to highlight, where they were saying that he has some serious financial difficulties. I don't know how true this is, but for what it's worth, they're saying he can be reached at 477-6925 for people who would want to help support him and his family with supplies or whatever they may need, right? I just want to put it out there. Oh, and our account number in First Citizens, 288-4799. 288-4799, right? FCB. So, I'm looking at this, right? And as far as I understand, the purpose of a Commission of Enquiry is not necessarily to establish innocence or guilt against any party. It's not a court case. It's not a trial. I understand that the inquiry is designed to figure out what are the facts of what happened and what is the truth about what happened. It can lead to further action, but the idea is to inquire as to what happened, get the facts so that we never in that situation again. It's particularly a useful tool when you have state agencies involved like Paria, to make sure that things like this don't happen again. Whether somebody innocent or guilty is another type of hearing that will have to happen to establish that, coming off of a commission inquiry. This is from my understanding. So when I heard the commissioner asking questions of Christopher Boudram last week, just asking him to recount the situation, we heard harrowing recordings of them inside the pipe. This is, keep in mind that our partner by the name of Pablo, I talk about him here from time to time. One of his cousins, Yusuf Henry, was one of the ones who would pass away in the pipeline. That's partner Ver's son, right? So I hearing this thing from Pablo the days that happened, that it was in the pipeline and they was knocking the pipeline and you could hear them and that kind of thing. Now I'm starting to understand how, right? Because apparently they had GoPros and so on and some kind of communication equipment. Your Pablo was saying when you're knocking the pipe, you could hear it coming from above the level of the water. You was hearing the pipe knocking, and apparently they could hear them down there. So that is a scary thing. Men in no direction they go in, and that, listen, it is scary. If you don't want to survey it, don't go and listen to it. But I took in as much of it as I could take in without affecting me too much, and it was just sad listening to him talk about it. So I heard a lot of compassion displayed by the commissioner. He seemed to have a British accent. And he was asking him the questions and giving him enough time to gather his thoughts to don't apologize for being emotional. We all understand. We're just trying to understand. And he himself is saying, I had to do this for my brothers. So he was and he was up there talking and doing what he needed to do. I just find it real strange that when you get the person who was in the head of Paria there, you want to uncover what the facts of the situation are to see, all right, was LMCS negligent, was Paria negligent, what exactly happened there? And I don't understand. I was looking at the person who questioned him in this aggressive way, like if we on LA law, in LA law, or if you're on some kind of what was the show with Jack Nicklaus and Tom Cruise again? A Few Good Men. I find it was a lot of theatrics. This is me personally here, right? Now, I'm not saying whether the person from Paria being genuine or not, the head of Paria, he seemed to be fumbling in a few areas, but I didn't understand what that was about, what that show, what that display was for. And then I realized it's Prakash Ramada. And it became very, very clear to me and evident what it was about. Let me tell you something. You see, this is my difficulty with politicians. As I always say, you see, when people go and pick up these things pro bono, let we don't fool ourselves into thinking that they genuinely care about the family, or not by default. Maybe they do eventually, but not by default. A big part of the reason they do these things is because it is against the law to advertise a law firm in this country. You cannot put yourself out there as a lawyer and put ads in the papers and so on. So one of the best ways for you to get advertising and get popular as a lawyer is to pick up high-profile cases, right? Because then you will be covered in every media house along with social media. And if you are seen as asking questions and destroying the man while he there, then you'll go even more viral on social media. And I just find it real disingenuous. These people, boy, listen, it's difficult for me to trust politicians now, because I don't think that was necessary. I think if you ask the questions and you give him time to answer, he will answer. And if he is wrong, and if they were negligent, and if they were deliberately not sending people to help, it will show. All that sort of there's one person in this whole equation whose emotion anybody could understand. Any human being on earth could understand that going through that experience that he went through, this Christopher Boudram, it's impossible for. I admire the fact that he could go there and talk about it at all. But when I see Prakash Ramada being as emotional as he might be, as Christopher might have been, in the way he asks any questions, almost like if he's a family member, that he's so upset about this whole thing and he asks any questions in an accusatory way. And I think, brother, you're a lawyer, so you still have a job to do. And at one point, the commissioner had to say, yes, okay, but you have to give him time to answer. You had to let the man answer the questions. And imagine the commissioner. The commissioner had to tell Christopher a few times, listen, don't worry, listen, we here. It doesn't matter how long it takes. If you need to take a break, we understand. The fellow was being very humane about how he handled Christopher. But imagine on the next side, he had to come and tell Prakash Ramada, okay, I understand that you're passionate about it and I understand. Listen, you are paid. You are hired to do a job here. So if you can't do the job, better you get somebody else who could do the job, because it can't be that. Imagine I as a lawyer for a family. And when I go up there, I crying and breaking down. And they had to hire somebody else. It's clear that I'm not fit to do the job. And I did not understand what that whole display was about until I realized it's Prakash Ramada. And then I realized it's about viral moments, it's about TV, it's about how it look, and it's about how you come across. Because Prakash Ramada, I don't know if you ever hear him talk like that, or he's always super cool. So am I to believe that this situation have him so wound up and emotional that all of a sudden you can ask a man a question and give him time to answer? You basically badgering a man who opted to be a part of a commission of inquiry. It was weird. To the point where the man had to say, which as far as I'm concerned, he would have always, anything that he had to say to look bad would have been said. Because he say, yeah, but I am in a situation where I have to make sure that when we lose 4 lives, we don't end up losing 10. Because it would be a different story if I had sent people there and they also lost their lives. I think that is a reasonable answer. I have been I have been in situations where it had a crisis going on and people turning to me to what to do. And I don't feel I will have the right answer in this situation. I'm just going to do the best I could do in the moment. And if I land in problems after, well, I had to face the music, right? But he would have said that anyway. Without all that sort of hype and emotion and that badgering, I was so confused. If you get a chance, go and look at it, right? I'm not playing it because it was bad. I find it was disrespectful to the families. It was disrespectful to those who had passed. It was very, very disrespectful to everybody in that commission. But what I know is it played well in the public. Because when you go in MYOB and saying, all you're hearing is, he mash him up, he this and he that. Listen, let me tell you something. Anytime the multitude behind you, check what you're doing. Most of the times, the multitude don't understand what they're looking at. They don't know what's the purpose of, and they're commenting on something that they don't necessarily care about. I didn't comment about that and go on about the business. But what Prakash Ramadhan get is a little political clout, a little legal clout. So some more cases might come his way, a better chance at getting in either Gary Griffith party, because that's it for COP, right? But either getting with Gary Griffith or Watson Duke or something. All you want a little side bet that at some point you'll see Prakash Ramadhan pop up in one of these new political parties coming off of this mileage he just created for himself. My belief, right? But the idea that if I had sent more people could have been there and we'd be having a different conversation. It is legitimate. It is understandable. The commissioner also asked in a very calm, simple way as well. He said, hey, I understand what you're saying there and it makes sense. But what if it was your father in the pipeline? Would you have been willing to go and risk your life to save your own father? The man, as far as I'm concerned, the commissioner destroy him without all that sort of hype. Because at that point, what are you going to say? Because I understand that you don't want to send more people, but I would be willing personally to risk my life if my father's stuck in a situation, or my son, my brothers, my wife, my sister. Anybody would. Any man, anybody could tell you that, listen, I was going back in. So I just was confused as to what all that sort of thing was by Prakash Ramadhan, that whole show and display. I don't like it. Them things don't sit well with me at all. But I want to salute to the commissioner. I think he's doing a great job, and I think beyond the theatrics, I'm hoping that this is one of the commissions of inquiry where things come out so that further action could be taken, because it's not right what happened to these fellas, of course. And it shouldn't be something that we have swept under a rug, because they have several, in my very, very humble and uninformed opinion, real people dropped the ball for them fellas to end up dead. And for one man to have to go through what he went through, to know you leave people and tell them you're coming back and you never reach back. So I hope the commission continues, and I hope it's a success, and I hope that more comes out so that we know what action to take against who when this whole thing is said and done. All right, but I stop ending podcast on sad note and thing, right? So only go and take it now for yourself and taking Prakash Ramadhan on all. The man is on 1,000. I want to make sure that we stick to our little Christmas. I tell you now, I'm trying to figure out what day is the last day I recorded. I need some rest before the new year. I want to come back new year fresh. And I feel like if I do one of them record through the whole Christmas season again, I feel new year could start off real slow. So I want to get to you to play a few Christmas songs now. What you call them? B-sides? Some not so popular ones that people might have. If you're listening to this at Christmas time, you probably know what's coming already. But this song is from a man by the name of Frankie Atwell. And when you listen what you want to call it? Soca Parang? Listen a little Kaiso in Christmas now and hear lyrics. Yes.
I have never seen a white Christmas. Have you ever seen a white Christmas? I have never seen a white Christmas. Have you ever seen a white Christmas? I have never seen a white Christmas. Such places I have never been. I couldn't tell a school bell from a jingle bell. All my Christmases were green. So how can I dream of a white Christmas? Dream of something that I've never seen. I've never seen snow on any tree. All my Christmases were green. All this fireplace and chimney top, mistletoe and thing. Imagine walking in the winter wonderland and the big bright sun shining. I have never seen a white Christmas. Such places I have never been. I couldn't tell a sleigh from a jackass car. All my Christmases were green. So how can we be
dreaming of a white Christmas?
Chestnuts roaming on an open fire, Jack Frost living up your nose. Walking in a winter wonderland, walking in a winter wonderland, walking in a winter wonderland, walking in a winter wonderland. I have never seen a white Christmas. Such places I have never been. I couldn't tell a school bell from a jingle bell. All my Christmases were green. So how can I dream of a white Christmas? Dream of something that I've never seen. I've never seen snow on any tree. All my Christmases were green. All this red rose there and Santa Claus dressed up in his fur. Magic Christmas in the tropics, winter style. This should never be so. I have never seen a white Christmas. I've only heard of snow and sleep. The nearest I come to any snow is when a bicycle goes down the street. I have never seen a white Christmas. Have you ever seen a white Christmas? I have never seen a white Christmas.
No.
Have you ever seen a white Christmas?
No.
I have never seen a white Christmas.
No.
Have you ever seen a white Christmas? I have never seen a white Christmas. I have a next one to play for you here. Every time I reach Lord Nelson, I start to reach in favorite zone, right? But there's a song that's special to me around Christmas time back in the day. Because there's one of the first Christmas songs when people was paranging. Now, I had to tell you that when I say paranging, I mean paranging. Since I'm small, when I say paranging, I mean kaiso. It's heavy gin and dine and thing is being the parang we used play. But this was a song that I used to hold on to, and that's why I have Lord Nelson as one of the greatest of all time in terms of storytelling ability. Taking this, right?
Christmas time is the time for giving. We learned that from since we're small. But from year to year it's the same old thing. Santa's coming to call. We always ignore it or forget it. This we know it's true. So this coming Christmas, let's all make an effort, get a present for Santa too. Let's trade in the old sleigh and the reindeer for a big car with a chauffeur. Get a helicopter because everybody loves their old Santa Claus. Christmas is here and we all having fun. Santa brought presents for everyone, but he had to squeeze through a chimney for Nicholas. What a horrible place to pass. Why not open me your window or your front door so Santa could bring his gifts? I find that climbing on a rooftop and coming through a chimney is a whole lot of stupidness. Move him from the North Pole cause it's so cold. Give him an apartment with modern equipment. I made a butler, he deserved. Let us show our love to dear Santa Claus. Everybody drinking beer, whiskey and rum, post Santa ain't getting on. And it's jingle bells, there old Santa goes wearing the same old red clothes. We should be ashamed, we should be blamed to treat Santa Claus like a brute. So let's chip in some dollars, take him to the tailor for a new continental suit. Take him out to a nightclub or a movie, get some fine chicks and give a party. It's time to chip in and do our share to make sure he comes more than once a year.
I have one for you here by the great Lord Melody.
In the air, season greetings, love is everywhere. Yeah, oh yeah, make the kids happy. Be a Christian daily, prepare for the drinkers, prepare. This was the team song last year. I got 10 no level in rum, but a drinking beer, oh stout. I got 9 no level in scotch, but a drinking vodka, oh malt. I have 8 no level in rum and 7 in wine and gin. You see, we here for see a tall man and drinking anything. Let's party. Let's party. Let's party. Let's party. Said to me, my friend, Christmas is for children. Ordinary day is Christmas, the young man say. At school we drinking, party and chicks is reading. Some of them the smoke and me. In the end they going crazy. I have 10 no level in rum, but a drinking beer or stout. I got 9 no level in scotch, but a drinking vodka or malt. I have 8 no level in rum and 7 in wine and gin. You see, we ain't fussy at all, man, we drinking anything.
Let's party. Let's party.
Let's party. Let's party.
You're drinking anything, and everybody's singing disco calypso. They're jamming and rocking. Oh, oh, heavy, heavy, heavy action. Adults and little children, I'll never forget really the song they sing to attack me. I got 10 no level in rum, but a drinking beer or stout. I got 9 no level in scotch, but a drinking vodka or malt. I have 8 no level in rum and 7 in wine and gin. You see, we ain't fussy at all, man, we're drinking anything.
Let's party. Let's party. Let's party. Let's party.
Bim 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 bam 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 bim 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 bam bam listen, I'm leaving all on this. I will see you all in next week. All you stay dry and stay safe. There's plenty. When you're driving on the highway, you see any car in the river right by the roadside, you know. So I see this in Trinidad and Tobago for those of us who here. They have heavy rains and the water levels high. Let me just take with time on the road. Everybody reach home safe. Too much a car down in the ditch and down in the side of the road and things. We just take with time and do what we had to do. I live in Orleans, one of my favorite Christmas classics.
Come in where you see where you gonna get. Sit down. That's right. We are wrong. I want rum. Drink a rum and a punch a cream. Drink a rum. Drink a rum and a punch a cream. Drink a rum.
Yes.
Drink a rum and a punch a cream. Drink a rum. Drink a rum and a punch a cream. Drink a rum. Muma, would you like to join your sonny? I am over here, happy in the mother country, darling, for the Christmas. Your son would be really jumping. Listen to the chorus of what we all will be singing. Drink a rum and a punch a cream. Drink a rum. It's Christmas morning. Drink a rum and a punch a cream. Drink a rum. Mama, drink if you drink it. Drink a rum and a punch a cream. Drink a rum. Let we fed if we fed in. Drink a rum and a punch a cream. Drink a rum. Again, Muma, I have invited Jamaica, lovely Grenada, Barbados, also Guyana. It's an invitation for a stupendous occasion. You can just imagine, we drink until New Year's morning. Drink a rum and a punch a cream. Drink a rum. It's Christmas morning. Drink a rum and a punch a cream. Drink a rum. Do drink if you're drinking. Drink a rum and a punch a cream. Drink a rum. Mama, sing if you're singing. Drink a rum and a punch a cream. Drink a rum.
As I say, all remain safe. Everybody, I hope all is good. I live in all the. I will see you all in next week. Bye-bye.
You must understand, liquor to supply a nation. I have ordered whiskey, punch a cream and gin and brandy, lime and tonic water, lemon hot and angostura. Drink a rum and a punch a cream. Drink a rum. It's Christmas morning. Drink a rum and a punch a cream. Drink a rum. Mama, drink if you're drinking. Drink a rum and a punch a cream.
Hey, one thing I want to say before I forget, but I'll leave it out saying this. I want to say salute to my guy Quinton Neckles. I'm sorry I do this way at the end of the episode and I just forget I'm not a young man, right? But salute to him. He had this concert on Sunday going and I understand it was amazing. I had an issue and I couldn't get there, but I hope for him to have many, many more. And there's somebody that I will definitely have on the podcast at some point. Is a fellow who once you wrong him, you're bound to crack a smile. Salute to you, Quinton. I'm proud of you on your show.
And singing the same melody. Drink a rum and a punch a cream. Drink a rum. Mama, drink if you're drinking. Drink a rum and a punch a cream. Drink a rum. It's Christmas morning. Drink a rum and a punch a cream. Drink a rum. Let me drunk if we drunken. Drink a rum and a punch.